Hello and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics. Today we're going to go over the top 10 reprints of comic books for 2021. Okay, so this video is talking about the top 10 reprints. This is for older material that was reprinted in 2021, and they made my top 10 list based on either the way it was reprinted, the format, or maybe just having it for the first time, or what have you, or coming back into print after so many years. Kind of arbitrary, and I'm not doing it in order. I'm just going to show you the top 10 books. I don't think there's really an order that's necessary for this list. It's just 10 books or sets of books that I was excited to be able to collect in 2021. Let's start off with manga. A lot of cool old school manga that was reprinted in 2021 in cool ways. And I'm hoping that it influences a lot of these companies like 7 Seas, Viz, this is 7 Seas, right? And other companies too, that there's a market for old school classic manga, because that's what I'm into a lot of the time is classic manga. And this is one I was really excited to get. I just picked this up recently though, and I've read through a little bit of the beginning, but I was excited about this because this is Shotaro Ishinomori, who's the most prolific mangaka of all time. Recently, they've reprinted this for him. A thicker 800-page hardcover of Kamen Rider came out, as well as the Zelda reprints came out recently too, or they reprinted it again. This old strips that he did for Nintendo Power. I'm hoping this leads to Cyborg 009 or 009, I don't know how that's exactly said, being reprinted, especially in hardcovers. That'd be so cool. But I can't, manga's been weird on YouTube lately, so I don't want to show any interiors and get docked for it, but I'll show you the cool hardcover they came out with. So this is Super Sentai Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. Shotaro Ishinomori is like one of the godfathers, or maybe the godfather of what we think of as the modern tokusatsu genre, Power Rangers and whatnot. This was the beginning. Super Sentai was a TV show that Ishinomori worked on, and then he made it into a manga, and this collects all of that into this nice little hardcover. So that's really cool. The other one, which is a series I've been loving lately, by Taiyo Matsumoto, is number 5. Try to get that on camera, I guess. We've had 3 volumes produced. There will be 4 to complete the set. I think the 4th volume comes out this spring. I think volume 3 just came out, so technically that's in January. But in 2021, we saw these 2 come out. And like I said, I don't want to show off the interiors, but I will show off these beautiful books because they're amazing. This was a series, I believe, from 2006. That's when it originally came out, by Taiyo Matsumoto. He's of Tech on Concrete fame, Ping Pong. He did Cats at the Louvre, are also a famous series from him. And each of these books has a pull-out, like they have French flaps, and then the cover like is completely wrapped around. And each of the books also has a pull-out poster, which I don't know if this part's okay to show on YouTube, but I'm going to anyways, with his art. Just an amazing series. It's like a lot about how these Rainbow Brigade, these rainbow beings, or the Rainbow Corps, if you will, are like superhuman beings, and they're like worshipped by the world that this takes place in. And they, but then as the series starts off, they're all numbered, like Rainbow Corps number 1 through 10. in number 5, all of a sudden assassinates one of them, and he goes rogue. So the whole story so far has been about trying to find number 5 and stop him, because he's ruining everything that this world knows about and worships with these warriors and whatnot, with the Rainbow Brigade. Been a lot of fun, been good stuff. The third one on my list here, like I said in no particular order, has been Fist of the North Star. These are awesome hardcovers that has been produced by Viz. The easiest way to describe this is a really famous manga / anime, especially from the 80s. This is like one of the first big ones to cross over into the US. But if you're not familiar, the easiest way to describe it would be, imagine Bruce Lee starring in a Mad Max movie. These hardcovers are awesome though. Like you can see like blood splatter that continues on to each cover. Each spine has a different character on the spine and on the cover. And the backs show some of the, like I said, I can't show you interiors, but the backs show you a lot of the gore and blood that happens in a post-apocalyptic world. So you get great character designs that look like they're ripped right out of this, off the screen from a Mad Max movie. And this guy, the star of it, the man with 7 scars that are in the shape of the Big Dipper, is like your Bruce Lee character. And these books are so, like there's like a spot varnish on the blood. I don't know if you can see that or not, if you're tilting the light. Like that's like lifted off the cover. It's on spot varnish. And then even on the lettering, if you like, I don't think you can see it, but you can see like the Big Dipper, the 7 scars there too. Pretty cool. Great reprints though. That series has never been completed in English. And I'm hoping they complete it in hardcovers, even though there's gonna be like, I don't know, 15 of them or something crazy. Let me know in the comments how many there will be. The next one is Goon. So these started off being published in 2020, but they were completed in 2021. And these are the bunch of old crap Omnibus volumes. They're paperback omnibuses published by Albatross Comics. And this was a series that when I came back into comics, after being gone, I heard about this. These are being published in the Dark Horse Library editions, which are those way oversized. These are standard sized paperbacks. And I missed out on those. So I wanted to pick these up to fill it out. And I think someone told me that these actually contain material that's not in those library editions, maybe 1 or 2 comics or something. Let me know in the comments. But either way, these are super affordable, great ways to collect this series, which is amazing. It's mobsters, it's zombies, horror, Dick Tracy vibes, all rolled into one, and with some fun, dark humor and violence. So the Goon was completed in 2021. Marvel released, so this series, Fantastic Four Antithesis, was finished in 2020. This came out in 2021. And this is the treasury-sized comic book of this 4-issue series from Mark Waid and Neil Adams, with Mark Farmer and Laura Martin also working on it. And this beautiful, I love these treasury editions that Marvel's been putting out ever since like X-Men Grand Design and whatnot. But this is Neil Adams doing the art for his first ever, or for the first time doing art for a Fantastic Four comic. And this is Mark Waid returning to the Fantastic Four after having a previous year back in the day. And Neil Adams, I did a review on this on my channel, which you can look at. But Neil Adams' artwork it's always been incredible, but I think it works so well with the Fantastic Four. It was great to see that, and it's a great 4-issue miniseries that anybody can read. You don't have to be an expert on Fantastic Four, or you definitely don't have to be up to current date on Fantastic Four. This kind of takes place whenever you want it. It's not really clear when it takes place. So it's new reader friendly as well. But you get Galactus, you get Silver Surfer, you get the Fantastic Four going into space, going on an adventure, challenging each other as family members. And and they're fighting a new villain called Antithesis, which is amazing. And then in the back it reprints an X-Men story that Neil Adams did the art for, as well as the first issue of Mark Waid's run with Mike Wieringo. So this is a really cool reprint and a cool series that would have made my list for best comics of 2021, but I felt like it was originally published in 2020, so it's kind of hard to put on there. Next is Kirby War and Romance. This was an omnibus that Marvel put out this year. A lot of good Kirby omnibuses that came out last year, but this one stood out to me because this was the first time we got a lot of these comics reprinted, period. And then the ones that have been reprinted, this is the first time we got them in omnibus format. So this collects a lot of Kirby's War and Romance comics from Golden and Silver Age. You get a great introduction by Tom Scioli, Jack Kirby expert and expert cartoonist, who's one of my favorites. And it's printed on this, like, not necessarily glossy, it's like more of a, it's not as much of a finish on it, I guess. But I wish Marvel would use this paper better, or more, because you can see, I guess there's a glare right there from the light, but there's not so much glare when you're reading the page as there are on typical Marvel reprints. But it collects a lot of his old romance comics, which have never been reprinted, as well as his run on, I think it's back here, on Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos. I think he did 9 or 10 issues on that series before passing it on. Oh, and they're all put in chronological order, that's why. Okay, this is the first issue. But that's only been reprinted in Epic Collections and Masterworks. So this is the first time we got an oversized format, which is great. So it's Kirby War and Romance. I love special projects like that, especially ones that collect Jack Kirby stuff. This was Jimbo, Adventures in Paradise by Gary Panter. This was published by NYRC, and Gary Panter's a guy that I have awesome French flaps, oversized, is a guy that I've been discovering more and more, and I didn't realize that I've been loving his artwork since I was a little kid, and that was because Gary Panter did a lot of the set design and artwork for Pee-wee's Playhouse. So at one point, like, and Gary Panter's art is definitely not for everybody. It's super stylized, but I think there's just such an insane graphomania to his artwork that I love. And you get this character Jimbo just kind of going through this post-apocalyptic world. Very much underground comics, very much outlaw comics in a way, just like doing his own thing. And you get different styles. You get a little cameo from Nancy. But these are old comics from the 70s and 80s that this collects. Comics that have not been available to read for a number of years. And I love being able to read this old stuff that I never had the chance to read in real time. So yeah, that was Jimbo, Adventures in Paradise. The next one is Madman by Mike Allred, Laura Allred, and Han Allred. This is from the Madmaniverse library. This is the first library edition. This came out last year, and Volume 2 comes out, I think, next week. Or maybe this week by the time you're watching this video. But this series I'm so excited for. I think it's going to be 6 volumes or 5 volumes. But these are 600-page library editions that are going to collect everything Mike Allred has done for creator-owned work in the order that he sets it in. And these older comics are being recolored by Laura Allred, which is one of the best colorists in comics. Her coloring works so well with Mike's. And it's just great to read these old Madman comics. They've been fantastic. I've been loving them. And I can't wait to have the whole set. Mike Allred is easily my #1 favorite cartoonist going today. So it's great to be able to collect this old material. And I have 2 more here. This one is, oh geez. Let's bump the whole camera there, sorry. Sorry if I just gave anybody a headache. This one is Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 2. Major downgrade on this one for having this stupid small font on the spine. I don't understand why Marvel went this route. It's been long talked about. I don't need to go about it very much, but this is not just your typical reprint. Marvel's been doing a great job of reprinting a lot of their omnibuses lately. Big thank you to Omar from Near Mint Condition, who's reached out to Marvel and is in close contact with them regularly about that. But this was not just your typical reprint. This was great Kirby Clash. Just flip to. This was completely remastered. They found a lot of old Kirby original artwork that they used in their files. So this is even updated after the Masterworks, after the last printing of the Volume 2. Totally remastered. And I like the way that Taschen did their reprints of like Spider-Man that came out recently, where they photographed old comics. But this is the second best, I think, version of a reprint that we can get. And it's done on that same paper that I talked about with the War and Romance, where it's not super glossy, but just a little bit. But the artwork just looks beautiful on this. And this is, in my opinion, the best omnibus Marvel has out there. A little weird to say a Volume 2 for being that, having that distinction, but the work you get into this omnibus, you get the Birth of the Inhumans, you get the Galactus trilogy, you get This Man, This Monster, you get the origin of Black Panther. Like, just like that little section of comics there has to be the greatest like 9-issue run ever in comics or in superhero comics. But the content in this is second to none as far as Marvel goes. So the remastering of this is why this is on this list. And then my last one is Manhunter by Walter Simonson and Archie Goodwin. This was a cool, it's a standard, or no, this is deluxe edition. Is this oversized? Yeah, it's oversized, okay. Oversized hardcover, collecting, it's kind of this weird, arbitrary, almost niche thing at this point, section of DC Comics history, but that's kind of why I love this so much. It's very thin. It's only $17.99 cover price. But back in the day, Walt Simonson, before he became a huge name in comics as far as an artist goes, had the rights to do the backup strips, or was giving the calling to do the backup strips for, I think it was Detective Comics, right? Was that what these issues took place on? Yeah, Detective Comics 437 through 444. These were the backup strips for that comic. So back then, Detective Comics was like I think like a 72 issue comic, and it included all the backup strips. And one of them was this Manhunter strip that Archie Goodwin wrote and Walt Simonson did the artwork for. And it was like, they just gave Walt Simonson the go. They said, do whatever you want. It had these crazy panel layouts. Like these small panels up here, and then like just such cool cartooning that you would eventually see like great lettering within the artwork, which Walt's famous for. You'd eventually see this kind of stuff that he's going for here show up in his later runs, like Thor and whatnot. But here it was like a revelation for comics, and this was like every cartoonist's favorite comic book back then. Like, just such interesting panel layouts. And it still holds up today as a great story. And this just collects all the backup strips that were there. And then you eventually see Batman for Walt Simonson. So it's great to see this like as a document of like history and how like this informed so much later in comics. And you get to see a lot of early Walt Simonson work. And Archie Goodwin, the writing is great too. Archie Goodwin's an incredible writer. So that was a cool little piece that you wouldn't expect from DC Comics. So that's it. That's the 10 books, my favorite reprints of 2021. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and let me know in the comments if you collected any of this stuff, what your favorite reprints of 2021 were, and all that stuff. Let's talk comics. Thank you guys. Have a great one.